Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Stitching Tales. I am Johanna Lundström.
And I am Malena Hjerpe.
And in today's episode, it's time to do another catch-up because we like to update you listeners or viewers, if you're watching on YouTube, on all the things that are going on in our sewing business as well. And so sometimes we try to do a lot of things between those episodes, and hopefully today we have a few new things to share. So Malena, what has been going on in your life lately?
Well, for me, it has been a lot of actually freelance work for the last couple of weeks. So my pattern line and everything I want to do there, nothing has really happened, to be honest. It feels like I'm standing still and nothing. I don't have time to do anything, unfortunately, now. So it feels a little bit frustrating, to be honest. But freelance work is what gives me a salary. So, I'm not sad about it. But, when you wanted to do everything and you want to get so many things done in the same time, and I just have to accept that at the moment I need to, for a short while, pause my own pattern line while I'm working with this freelance work. I'm trying to accept it. I'm having a hard time doing it, So I'm struggling a little bit there, but I'm super happy that I have freelance work at least. So yay!
Yeah. Because the bills needs to be paid, and we talk about this quite a lot. The fact that we are often trying to do all these things at the same time, and the reality is you can't do it all the time. And because in your case, Malena, you didn't have any freelance work for a bit now in the beginning of the year, so you had more time, right, to dedicate to Hazelhen Patterns and all the things you want to do in your own business, right?
Yeah, exactly. I had 7 weeks or something when I didn't have basically any freelance work, so then I could just focus on that one. Then I made a website, I did the Malva tea, the free pattern, and we started this podcast, and you start to get things going, and then all of a sudden you have to stop again. So that's a little bit like, I want to keep on working with it. But of course, I don't have any deadlines with my own stuff, luckily, so it can wait. I can pause it at the moment. Because I have to, of course, say yes to freelance work whenever I get it. But it's that feeling, you want to do everything at the same time and you want things to happen. I'm a little bit impatient with these kind of things. So, but I also know that I can't work. I have 2 small kids. I can't work in the evenings, in the weekends. It's just not realistic for me. So right now it's only focusing on freelance work, and then the other things just have to wait. So unfortunately, I don't have any new exciting updates on my side. Well, except I think I did our last catch up. I actually have sent out my first newsletter, which I'm really happy about. So now, well, in the future, I will just continue on doing that. The first one is always the hardest, but fingers crossed it will be easier from now on.
Yeah, that was a little bit of what do you call it? Not fairy tale. What do you call it? We had this ongoing, constant, reoccurring theme, right? Because you there's a backstory to this as well, because you released your first free sewing pattern as a lead magnet, basically a freebie. So if you sign up to your newsletter, you get this free pattern, and I think you had what I should call an overwhelming response to your free pattern, right?
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing that I can relate to is how many followers I have on Instagram, which is around 1,600. So it's okay, well, it has taken me almost 5 years to get that many followers. So, that's what I can relate to. But at the moment, and it's 2 months ago since I released Malva, I think, it's almost 1,000 people now that have signed up for my newsletter. So, I'm super thrilled. I did not expect it to go that fast.
Yeah, and that's an amazing response. Just think about this, that almost 1,000 people now have access to your sewing pattern. I must imagine that this was a record number, right, for you, having that many people getting your pattern.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm still selling, so like my sales are still like so small on my like real pattern that you buy on Etsy. So this is it's a big number for me. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So, and that's, I guess also, did you feel like more pressure about the newsletter because you didn't have like 10 subscribers? You had like almost 1,000 subscribers. Did that like affect your, how should I say it? Your worries or fears, or like, did you get some emotions like that?
Yeah, definitely. It felt a little bit like I'm gonna have a speech on a stage, and like, will people want to listen to me? No, but you want to give a good first impression, because I think I got a lot of followers that is not following me on Instagram, so I have a lot of new followers, which is really, super happy about. But then you want to give a good first expression. Impression.
Maybe a good expression as well. Expression of your.
Oh my god! Yeah, can't speak English even now. Impression, yes, of course, good impression. So fingers crossed I spelled everything correctly in that newsletter.
But maybe we should always have a disclaimer in everything we do that, please do note that English is not our first language, and that we only was taught it in school and we don't speak it.
It's like, please understand what I'm trying to say, not what I'm actually saying.
Yeah. Sometimes, when you're talking like this, you just draw a blank. It's like impossible to think of the right word, and sometimes you just want to throw in a Swedish word, or it's not always easy to speak like this on the fly. Even though we both have a lot of experience speaking in English, it's still definitely not always easy. And I always, when I struggle for a word, I feel like it takes like minutes, in my head before I can get something out. So hopefully you listeners understand. And also, if you're wondering about our very accents, we should say that we have slightly different accents perhaps as well, because you, Malena, you are not born in the same country as I am.
No, I'm actually from Finland. I'm a Swedish-speaking Finn, so I speak Swedish, but I have a very different Swedish accent compared to Johanna. So yeah, and that affects also, of course, our English a bit.
Yeah. And I think the Swedish, if you listeners or viewers remember the Muppet Show, there used to be a Swedish chef there. Hoody boody, he was speaking like that. So that's at least, I think a lot of native English speakers have this idea of the accent. And if you do think that we speak like the Swedish chef, then please drop us a comment either on our Instagram account, Stitching Tales Pod, or our YouTube channel, Stitching Tales Pod, where you can watch the video version of this podcast. So, yeah.
Yeah, fingers crossed we have a little bit higher bar compared to the Swedish chef.
Yeah.
But hopefully. You mentioned a good thing now. YouTube channel. Tell us. You got some news.
Yes, we got some news, yes, because I know a lot of you also watch the video version, which you can used to access on my YouTube channel, The Last Stitch TV, but due to the algorithms, I'm sure some of you already know what that is. The algorithms is how a platform serves content. So for instance, if you have people complaining about the Instagram algorithm, is the fact, or the Facebook, is that they don't get served the people that they are following, or they don't get served the right type of content that matches their preferences. So what happened when I was posting the video versions of our pod on my regular channel, and I've talked about this in the previous episode as well, a little bit more in depth, but what happens is that I kept losing followers or subscribers, and that also means that YouTube will not serve my regular sewing videos to my audience, because they see that people don't really enjoy the type of content. And I know we do have many listeners on each YouTube version of the pod, but also because I have this goal right now to reach 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I'm only about 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers away from that goal. And so I don't want to end up doing videos that keeps my follower count is actually decreasing rather than increasing. So that's the long backstory of the fact that from now on, this week, when you're listening to this episode, you will find our video version on a separate YouTube channel. It's called Stitching Talespod. So it's very easy to find, and we'll definitely link it also in the description section of this episode. And also, you will still, if you go to my regular YouTube channel, you will still see the video versions, but they will be posted on this separate account, but you can still, so we can find it. But definitely please hit subscribe, because it would be actually nice to have some people subscribing to our pod episode as well, or the pod channel. So yeah, there has been we are expanding, basically. You can say that. we are growing now. We have our own YouTube channel, so that's why so that's the backstory of but I think it's going to be a good thing, because then we can post like separate updates and content that just relates to the podcast as well, and not having to mix it. And I think what hurt wasn't the episodes in particular that was about sewing, but as this episode, we also talk about like running a sewing business, and obviously most people who follow my sewing channel, they want tutorials. They are not that interested, unfortunately, in our day-to-day business dealings and what it's like running a sewing business. So that's the backstory of that. So Stitching Talespod on YouTube, that's the only thing you should subscribe to this week. I'm just kidding.
And on the actual podcast, like you can still listen to it on Spotify or Apple Podcast, and that nothing has changed there, right?
Nothing has changed there, and you can also find the audio version of Stitching Tales pod on that separate YouTube channel. So if you're just subscribing to your regular audio pod, you can also ignore this unless you want to see our faces as well. Then you should hop on to the Stitching Tales pod YouTube channel.
How nice. And so how is it going on your regular channel then? What's happening with your sewing tutorials? Anything happened?
Yes, finally. I'm able to.
Woo-hoo!
That's the good thing about doing. That's why it's good to do these kind of episodes, because I have to, like, you are keeping me accountable of the things that I say that I don't always do. But yeah, as I mentioned previously, I definitely want to grow my YouTube channel. I want to get that silver play button, which is a physical thing that you can put on your wall, because that's a big goal to reach 100,000 subscribers. So and I haven't been doing YouTube videos much in the last year, I think, just because I was overwhelmed with so much else, and we did our book Fit for Knits. So, and also doing videos, you have to enjoy it. It's a lot of work. So I was feeling a little bit, uninspired for a while, because there's so much stuff that you need to do. Just not just record the video, it's editing and the sound and get the light right and all the stuff. So, but yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I woke up one Sunday. I had already prepped the studio. I went into my sewing studio, which you can see in the back if you're watching the video version. And then I just cranked out 3 videos in one sitting. And that was in the nick of time, because, thank you, yeah. And that was a nick of time because in the afternoon I got down with a bad cold that really ruined my voice for over a week. So, and I think you can still hear it a little bit. So, so I recorded 3 videos. One is about 6 common mistakes that many of us do when we're sewing with knits. One video is about how to sew knits if you only have a regular sewing machine. And the third video is a guide to how to hem knits if you only have a regular sewing machine. So there are 3 different topics, and I'm happy to say that I managed to publish my first video this Sunday, which is the Sunday the 14th of April. If you're listening to this episode, you can go over there and you will see at least 1 episode, hopefully 2 by the time this episode is out. And I got an overwhelming response. I got so many views and enormous amount of likes, and and that video was about 6 mistakes from sewing knit. So I really felt like, I'm back in the game, and I felt like I still have it, that I'm still able to do a lot of see the video filming through. And the only issue is, of course, it takes like literally a day or more to edit it. Because I put so much effort into editing.
But that sounds like you kind of hit a nerve for the for the viewers, that 6 common mistakes. Oh yes, very relatable when it comes to sewing. So sounds like a good topic.
Yeah. I felt so too. A lot of people really seem to appreciate the content, and of course, I've done all these mistakes myself. So it's not like I am telling everyone else, they are doing it wrong. I mean, they are basically based on things that I've done myself over and over. So, and also I always, when I do episodes or YouTube videos about knits, it gets a lot of great response, because still there aren't that many tutorials that talk so specifically about sewing with knits, and that's usually the response I get as well, that people really they really find the content helpful.
Oh, well, that sounds good, and also good if you. I'm looking forward to the next videos about the home sewing machines, because obviously an overlocker is a serger is great when you sew in knits, but everyone don't have that, and then if you want to still try to sew with knits, you can still do a lot with a home sewing machine. So that's sounds like a really great topic for your video. And when are you going to release that?
I hope so.
I'm putting pressure on you now.
Yeah, hopefully this weekend, but I'm also traveling, so I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. But I mean, it's the same which we addressed in previous episode as well, that you have to keep feeding the content machine, so it can soon get really overwhelming. I mean, ideally, if I want to reach my goal of 100,000 subscribers, I need to put out videos every single Sunday, which is the day I post videos. But that's not realistic. But hopefully, I will be able to post it this week. I'm going to spend a large chunk of Thursday and this afternoon today when we're recording to edit it. So we'll see how it goes.
Crossed.
But it's happening, at least for sure. Finally.
Yeah,
so
but that's good.
It feels good to be back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got started again now. Then to just continue with it, it's going to be a lot easier. But as I said, it's that first one that is always like the most tricky to start to get going again.
Yeah, it is. So how do you feel about the newsletter? What has been your thought process now that you have sent out one newsletter, but you're also super busy right now with your day job?
Yeah, it's I need to. I mean, I can still post newsletters, like, well, for example, tell about this blog podcast that we do, and a little bit things like that. But at the moment, it's like, no, I'm gonna wait until I have a little bit more better time. At the moment, it's not workable for me to do it right now. And I mean, I said in the beginning that I would like to send out a newsletter every month. And as soon as I said it, I mean, I regret it. It was like, no, not never gonna happen every month. Not if I have freelance work. So I don't have any goals, like a certain amount of newsletters I need to send out or anything. So it just, if it take a month or two until next time, then so be it. It just, I can't force it at the moment. Unfortunately, I would like to, but it's not.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are not robots. We are humans. So yeah, it's definitely, and I think also, what I think you might be struggling, which I can relate to, is the fact that you want to put out really awesome content. But I think just the fact that you are now releasing weekly podcast episodes, you could just highlight one of those episodes that you think that your subscribers might find interesting and helpful, because not everyone who is subscribing to your newsletter even knows about the podcast, because that's what you realize, that we have audience coming from so many places, and many people, as you say, they don't follow you on your regular channels. They they just signed up to get a free pattern. So
yeah, and so true. Something... And I mean, now when you said that we have our own podcast journal, well, that's a newsletter.
Yeah,
I need to. Yeah, it's exactly. A lot about like the mindset also. Like, how much do you need to have in a newsletter? Like, I instantly think that it has to be news, something new that I put out. But I mean, this is something obviously new as well. So yeah, that will be my next newsletter. Thank you for the idea.
Yeah, and you can nick it, because I just had the same type of realization, because we just released an episode about cover stitching, and I have a segment on my subscriber list that have subscribed to cover stitching content, and they get a free troubleshooting guide if they sign up. So I was just realizing this morning that why don't I send out to that particular segment or that group the fact that we have just done an extensive episode on cover stitching that you can listen to. I mean, that's an amazing service, because then you can get a lot of sewing knowledge, when you're walking or commuting. So it's just a different way of consuming the type of content we are doing in other formats. So I was thinking about that. Why? That's probably something that a lot of people would appreciate if they just knew about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and sometimes you need to, I don't know, like think again, like stop and have a little break, and it's like, okay, then you realize that you still have so much that you can, so many ideas, so many those kind of things you can actually do. You just forget about it when you are, deep down in work. But what's happening beside your videos? Are you working on patterns, for example?
Yes, I am. Yes, because leading question, right? Because I think if you listen to the previous episode, you know that I am in the throes of launching a new sewing pattern, which is a big thing for me, because it was 2 years ago since I last released a sewing pattern, the girly top. And so what I'm doing right now is that I'm working on a pair of dressier pants that is made for knit fabric. So you can just use any type of like thicker fabric, like Ponte di Roma or French terry or sweatshirt fabric, those like thicker polyester knits, if that's your thing. So I'm doing that, and that's going to not be released now. It's going to be released in the fall, because it's meant for more heavier fabric. So I think it's more of a fall style. But I'm really, really excited. And I should say that Malena is the one that has actually drafted and the pattern and graded the pattern. So for me, I come up with the design and the proportions and everything like that. And then Malena executes it, because she's an awesome pattern maker, a professional pattern maker that works for big brands that you know of. And so that's why I'm very, very grateful to have your expertise, and I just love it. And I've been wearing the sample like literally every day, because it's to me it's the perfect mix of a pair of really cozy pants, but they look nice. You can wear them outside, you can wear them in the office, because it has pockets and darts. So it's a very it's like a very the shaping and everything. It looks much more dressier, I would say. Plus, it's really, really comfortable with a nice elastic waistband and a little bit more wide, straight to wide leg pants, I should say. So it's not the skinny pants. It's a very comfortable pants. So that's one of the things that is going to happen. I'm going to start sewing samples soon. Yeah, we all love that, right? Favorite thing ever.
I think that is such a... I love it. I mean, Ponte di Roma, for example, or heavier knitted fabrics. It can give such a nice look. I mean, a little bit more, not like soft home lounge wear, relaxed, but this is more like fancier look, more office wear. It can really change the whole outlook, even though you usually think that it's more casual when it's a knitted fabric, but you could really I love those fabrics, so it's great to have a pattern specifically for those types of fabrics.
Yeah, thank you. And also it's nice because you don't have to iron it. It's just everything is just wash and go. It's also based on a style that has become quite popular, and a lot of the bigger brands are now selling that type of pants in stores with those detailing. So that's why one of the things I feel, hopefully it's a good match with current trends, and I think we still have this like post pandemic love for, you know, comfort clothes, even though I think we're going a bit more dressier. So hopefully it's going to resonate with a lot of people. We'll see. We could do an update then in the fall how the pattern launch has gone, if it was a flop or a success, or usually it's neither. It's usually in between.
Fingers crossed it will go well. But what are you?
Yeah.
So when you do a pattern launch, do you also want to do like a sew along and those kind of things in the same time, or what's your thought process behind that?
Yeah, I always do a sew along, so that's also a little bit why I feel like now I'm going to start to sew the photo samples. For one of those pairs, I will also do a photo sew along, because in my sewing pattern instructions, I use illustrations, and then on my blog over at thelaststitch.com, I always do step-by-step instructions as well, and I will add a few steps. For instance, I don't know if the right word, but it's like stitched front press pleats, not the pleats at the waist, but when you have this stitch,
pin-tucks?
you fold pin tucks. Exactly, that's a word. That's so good that you're so awesome at English. Now we're helping each other. Thank you. Yes, exactly, pin tucks that will run all the way on the front leg. So you can do that just to get an even dressier version. I really like that kind of like also a little bit like retro 60s look. So for the sew along, I will do a version that has this detail. So I will show also how to do that kind of pin tucks on knit fabrics. And of course, I will. The fabrics that I've gotten don't have that much lengthwise stretch, because otherwise it's going to be a bit difficult. So I think in order to be successful with pin tucks on knits, you need to have fabric that is quite stable in the lengthwise direction. So I got some really nice, like Ponte di Roma type of fabric for the samples. So, yep.
Oh, that sounds good. Looking forward to see that. Do you do any videos of like? I don't know, not so long on videos, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I sometimes I do, but usually I find it's a little bit overwhelming, especially since I'm the only person doing everything. So I usually don't do a sew along for the entire pattern, because it's not, just speaking about the algorithm, which I mentioned in the beginning of this episode, is the fact that my viewers on YouTube, they don't really want to see how me sew a specific pattern. But what I can do is, for instance, I can show how to do a waistband with elastic, how to sew those so if I have the bandwidth or the energy, I can definitely film and do a tutorial about that, for instance. What else could I do? Maybe side pockets, maybe darts. Yeah, darts on knits is also probably something I could do a video about, because I haven't done that, I think, on my YouTube channel. I do have a tutorial, a blog tutorial, but I don't think I've done that. And also, if you have any other suggestions on what type of things you would like to know, please drop us a comment, because that's interesting to know. I mean, if there's particular things when it comes to sewing knit pants that you would like to know and see a video of.
Well, that sounds good. But what are I know, I mean, I have some insights to what you are planning and doing. How is it going with you have some plans about the jeans? You know what I'm talking about then?
Yeah. I have so much going on. We'll see how I'm feeling after this. It's going to be a very, very busy spring and summer for me, but I'm definitely like really pushing it now, because I want to get some momentum in my business. So for you who don't know, I released a book about sewing jeans in 2020, so it's almost 4 years ago now, and that has been a really, really well-received book. And I also have a lot of videos on YouTube on sewing jeans. I think my most popular video is how to insert a jeans zipper, how to sew that, and I think it has almost like 500,000 views at this point. Wow. So yeah, it's my second best performing video ever. So there's clearly here a market for a jeans course that you pay for, I think. I did a cover stitch course 2 years ago that has gone really, really well. So I feel like this is my next logical step to do a video course from start to finish. Everything from how to cut the fabric and preparing it to sew all the details. So it's going to be like a really extensive course divided into specific chapters. For instance, how to sew the yoke, or a curved waistband or a straight waistband, how to do a button up fly and a zipper fly. So it's going to be a very extensive course, which means that it's going to take me forever to do this. It's don't expect a release in this foreseeable future, but I have taken time off from my day job in May, where I'm just going to put my head down and just film for about a week straight. And then I'm going to edit everything. So I might not be able to release it this year. It probably might end up next year. We'll see. But I feel if I just manage to like actually do this, I know that this could be one of the biggest like launches from a financial perspective for me. If I just managed. So I have to keep reminding myself of this, that hard work do pay off. Sometimes it's easy to do just a blog tutorial or a short video, but I definitely believe that if I manage to do this, I will be rewarded for it. That's my hopes and my thinking.
Yeah, and I think it's such a good idea, because you already have so much about this topic already with the book, and we talked about it in our previous podcast episode about there are differences between sewing a pair of regular trousers or pants and sewing jeans. So there are specific things to how you do it. And sometimes, I mean, even though your illustrations are very clear, watching it on a film when somebody actually does it, it's just a completely different, it's a different thing. And also for some people, it can be really hard to read those instructions. I mean, if you're a visual learner, when you see someone do it, it's so much easier, like it makes sense to you. So no, I believe a lot in this course. And yeah, I think how you did the cover stitch course, it was such a good way of doing it. You know, like you go straight to the different chapters, and the videos is starting without any intros, anything. So I really, you can do it. We want it.
Thank you for believing in me. I will definitely need a lot of sharing on, so you can probably expect, in future episodes I will definitely keep you updated of the ups and downs of trying to edit this mega course. But I know the good thing is about doing this kind of sewing courses is the fact that not a lot of change over the year from year. I mean, if I would do a course on, say, a software, I would have to update it like every single year because they keep, changing the interfacing or adding new functions. But the good thing is about sewing that not much changes, right? It's basically the same since we were kids.
Yeah, I mean, sewing jeans is a iconic garment, so not that much has changed. Definitely, no. So it will live on forever. How are you? Give us some insights. How are you planning to do this filming? Are you sewing like a full pair of trousers or two, or what did you say?
Yeah, so I'm gonna sew 2 pair of trousers, so I will be able to show different techniques, obviously, because one, for instance, would have a zip flyer, one would have a button fly, and then I would do like overhead shots and sewing machine shots, and then you will see shots of me, sitting in front of the sewing machine and talk a little bit. So it won't be that much talking heads. It would mostly be, overhead shots and instructions and graphics and everything, arrows and all that jazz. So that's why I'm going to have to like record myself sewing 2 pair of jeans from start to finish, and I will probably cheat a little bit as well. I won't sew an entire pair of jeans for all the steps, because sometimes, if I want to do another belt loop or something like that. So definitely it's going to take meticulous planning to get everything So I will definitely, if you watch the video version in the future and I record it, you're gonna get a sneak preview. You're gonna be the first to see it, some of the shots of this. So it's actually happening only a couple of weeks. So yeah, I can definitely, hopefully have more news to share. Not very far away. So I hope that some of you listening will be interested in that course. So we'll definitely keep you updated. And you, Malena, when you get more time, when you're not as swamped with freelance work, where you wanted to do and what kind of stuff are you thinking about doing?
Well, I'm basically midway through making my next PDF pattern, Bilberry Top, which I'm really looking forward to releasing. I really like it. So I've done the actual patterns. I've done it's going to be both in B cup and D cup. I've done almost all the illustration for the B cup, so I just need to make some extra for the D cup. And then I need to do the sewing instructions, like writing them. So I would say that I'm like 70% done with it. So that's the thing that I really wanted to release. And my plan was to do it this spring, before the summer. But now realistically, I was like, now when you talk about so long and blog posts, and it's like, oh yeah, maybe that would be a good thing to actually do before you release so you have it done when you release the pattern. So now I'm thinking like, okay, after the summer break, maybe then it's a good time to set a new deadline for myself. So we'll see what happens. But I'm really, I believe it that it's a little bit more. So far, I've just more or less done basics for knitted patterns. So now I want to do a little more elevated style, but still quite not complicated sewing techniques or anything. So I'm really. That's why it feels a little bit frustrated, because I have to pause in the middle of it. I just want to finish it. But again, it's just my own deadline. I can wait. I've had this pattern in mind since 3 years ago when I did I went to a course about working with Clo 3D, a computer program where you basically sew up your garments and try it on an avatar. Really cool program. I think we need to talk about that in a future episode.
Yes.
But basically that's when I did this top. So it's been like over 3 years in the making. So now I just want to, get it out. But since it's been such apparently long process, it can wait a few months. I mean, it's no rush in that sense. But yeah.
And it's such a nice timeless design, even though it has, as you say, it's more of a specific design with more detailing. It's still a very timeless classic design. So it's not like an on-trend garment that you feel that you only have this small window where you can release it, and then you would feel maybe that something has moved on. It's that kind of style that will never go out of style. So in that sense, there is no real hurry as well. And it's also good to talk about these things that we sometimes we know what we should do, right? Try to ride on the wave now that you released your free pattern and you got this amazing response for that. Of course, ideally, we would, from a business perspective, it would be wonderful to ride on that hype and that wave and just keep pushing out new things when people are the most receptive and excited. But usually reality is that after these periods, we usually have to go and work even more in our other income job, because we were able to do those massive things because we had more time, or there's other reasons in our life that we were able to do it, or just because we had more energy at that point, and then we have to all the other things in life also has to work. So that's why we are never able to keep a consistent output as this is a side business, not our main business. And I think honestly, even if it was, we would maybe not make enough money to pay people to do a lot of the jobs for us. So it would still be, limitations. So, but I found sometimes I don't know why, but I still find myself comparing to other similar businesses, and I feel always that they are doing the most. For instance, just like you said with the sew along, for instance. I mean, now I see some of the bigger sewing pattern brands. They usually have this massive content launch, surrounding. I mean, some even have like fabric and pattern bundles, so you can get both these things, and they have videos, and they have and all the the marketing. They have like people showing the samples. I mean, they just have done this massive launch, and sometimes I kind of help think, if I were able to do all those things, would I be more successful? So I can sometimes still struggle with that kind of thoughts, even though I know why I'm not able to do it. Can you feel those things too?
Absolutely. And I think, I mean, it's the classic thing about, I think, social media. Like, you see everything great that the other ones are doing, and then you like, okay, that person is doing this really greatly, and this company is doing that fantastic launch, and it just feels like everybody is doing, all these great things. But in reality, maybe that company actually, the previous launch was a few months ago, so it wasn't like, but when you see it, it's like in your mind everything is happen all the time for everyone, which is not true. And also maybe that company has a whole like bunch of people working on the launch, creating content, and if you're a one-woman show, then reality is a bit different. But you always got that. You got books, okay? Not that many people have sewing books, so you got that going for you, okay?
Yeah, I do. It's true, and also, it should be said that those books are published by me and also designed by me, and so I don't have a publishing. Normally, you have a publishing company, so you create the content, both the text and sometimes the visuals or the patterns, but. Then you have editors, and those that they do the layout on the pages and manage distribution and printing. Those things are done by the publishing company, not by the person writing the book. So, but in my case, I also do that as well, which definitely takes more time. But it's so strange. I mean, I know you say this, but I know this myself, but I still feel like, how is it possible, that I can't do more? Like, but then I know also in my case, as I mentioned in previous episodes, I did suffer some kind of burnout for several years due to the fact that I had this massive output. I mean, I released 3 books in 3 years, I think.
Yeah, and also right now you work
videos every month.
You have another job, like you have a day job as well. You work, is it 50 or 60% with that?
60% right now.
60%. Yeah, I mean, then it's no wonder that you don't have that much time to produce in your own company. And I always find that also a little bit like a catch-22. Like, you want to put more time, more energy, more money maybe, and to delegate things so things can move quicker. But then again, I want to know that that money is going to return, or that time, like those investments are going to pay off before I do them. But of course, it's not going to pay off before I actually do something more, but you don't want to spend time on it because you don't know. So it's such an uncertainty, like what is the thing that you should focus on, like, and to be like completely transparent, like for me, my pattern company line, it's barely break even with my expenses and how much money I get in. So I'm totally 100% reliant on freelance work. That's why I can't say no to if I get an offer. So that was basically also, well, that's how I'm able to work with my own PDF pattern. So it's just, I have to I have to accept that I have to pause them when I get other things, when my calendar is filled up. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and also, but you look back and you go over to your Etsy shop, you can see that you released a lot of patterns over the years. So you have you achieved a lot of things. And also, I was so impressed now when you had these weeks off your freelance work that you managed to do so much stuff. I mean, you were extremely productive. I mean, you did one pattern from start to finish, and you came, you're almost 70% done with your next sewing pattern. And you helped me with stuff, and we record this podcast, and you started a newsletter. So you have been doing so many stuff, and you did a rebrand as well, right? You switched names and branding for your pattern line. So I mean, if you consider that, what you achieved in just less than 2 months, that was mind blowing. When you had the time,
yeah, and I think that's also a good thing about moving slow, because then. You have time to process, you have time to think, you have time to like, is this really the best move or not? Like, what do I really want? What is important for me? So then when you actually get the time to do it, you can be really productive during that time because you have had all the thought process figured out already. Like, I've been thinking about that for like many years, like almost years, some things. So you are very efficient when you actually get time to do it. It's so that's the how do you say, the positive thing about things it can take time sometimes. But are you with your videos now that you are going to film the jeans course? Are you prepped? Do you have everything? What pattern are you going to sew, like from a PDF pattern, or tell us more?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, that's also one of the things. I have my own jeans sloper pattern that I just will. It's a physical paper pattern right now, cut out in cardboard. But for visuals and for ease, I will need to digitize it. How shall I put it? So I need to like recreate it in. I will just use Illustrator. So that's going to be a little bit hassle as well. So that's one of the things I need to do before I start sewing, because I just. For ease, so I can reprint, and if I cut into the pattern piece, I need to film it again, etc., etc. So it's much easier if I can just have this digital version of it, so I can just reprint it every time I need it. So yeah, so I have my own sloper jeans pattern. It's a straight leg jeans pattern, so I will show it on a very kind of classic jeans style, because I find that that's probably the best. That's also what I used for my book, sometimes I also get the question from people, oh, is this book for men as well? And there's no differentiation, because a pair of straight leg jeans or a pair of jeans, they are sewn the same regardless if you're identifying as a female or a man. I mean, sometimes the zipper could be reversed, like mirrored, but if you do that kind of thing, but that's probably the only thing that is different. And perhaps some maybe more female identifying persons also like a curved waistband compared to a straight waistband, but those are very, very small differences. So I'm going to sew a very basic straight leg jean style that I think will stand the test of time.
That sounds good. And is it this pattern that you have? Because I've seen that you've sewn jeans before. Is it that pattern or?
Yep. Yeah, it is. I'm actually wearing it today. You can't see it because you just see the heads of it. But yeah, it's I love it. It's such a nice pattern. I've used it for over 10 years now. It's such a basic pattern, but it's just tweaking the fit, and yeah, it's a great pattern. So hopefully one day I would also love to release a jeans sewing pattern, but that will not happen in 2024. That I can assure you. But I mean. My dream is, of course, when you're talking of a business point of view, is that, of course, just like with the sewing course now, I can add the digital version of the book as an add-on. If you buy the course, you get that for a reduced price, and of course, I could also bundle up a future jeans pattern with the sewing course as well. So it's like adding value for me with products that I already have in my stock or in my store. So I have a lot of. Yeah, and I always know, I feel like, just like you said, when you have a lot of time to think about stuff, I always have a very clear idea of what the stuff I need to do. And I think also the good thing is about taking a break is that you get kind of excited to return, because if you don't do it all the time, you feel like, wow, now I have some more, now I'm really going to like do all the stuff that I've been thinking about. So there's a level of excitement, I think, when you take these kind of longer breaks that both of us have to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, it's a good it's good to take pauses also sometimes. And have you bought the fabric yet for these trousers?
Yeah, I have. So I'm getting a denim fabric from the UK, and as many of you know now, that the UK is no longer part of the European Union with Brexit, so that means that it's always a little bit nerve-wracking ordering outside, because it can get stuck in customs, and you will end up paying more custom fees than you are paying for the actual fabric. So that's also what happened this time. So I have still not actually seen the jeans fabric that I ordered about 3 weeks ago, but I have now paid all the custom duties, and hopefully I will actually be able to get it delivered to me soon. So that's a little bit nerve-wracking as well. But yeah, it's a really nice denim that has a little bit of stretch, just about 1% lycra, I think. That's why I ended up buying it from the UK, because it's really hard to find the right thickness that is not too heavy for a regular sewing machine, but it's still thick enough to provide really nice structured jeans, and just have a tiny bit of stretch for comfort, but not as much stretch so it gets harder to sew. So that's why I was very specific about the type of denim that I will use for this course. So it's a very classic style of jeans.
It's like a dark denim, or what color is it?
Yeah. It's a dark denim with a slightly broken surface, which is my favorite. Yep.
Oh,
I hope.
cool.
I haven't seen it yet, because obviously, who knows?
And for you, I'm gonna ask what every listener is wondering now. So where did you buy it from?
Yeah, I bought it from a store called Dalston Fabrics in the UK. They had some really nice prices on what seems to be good quality denim. So, of course, again, I haven't seen the fabric. Another UK vendor that I really has good denim is Croft Mills Fabric, and I usually buy it there, but they were out of stock of this particular denim. And of course, if you want to find resources on where to buy denim fabric, on my website, dealostitch.com, if you search for jeans fabrics or denim fabrics, you will find an extensive guide to stores around the world that stocks denim fabric. So we'll see. Who knows? But yeah, it's going to be a lot of prep work. But yeah, I feel, because it was 3 years ago since I recorded my last sewing course, almost 3 years ago. Yeah, 2.5 years ago. So I feel now that I rested enough to tackle on this mammoth project again. So that's also why it's good to have rest, because you can't do this all the time.
That's a good recovery time.
Yeah, that's probably it. So if I want to do another sewing course, it won't happen until maybe in the 30s, 2030s. We'll see what that will be. There'll probably be some more books before that. We'll see. We do talk about some book projects as well. So maybe that could be episode as well in the future, like bouncing off book ideas and get some feedback from you viewers and listeners as well. What kind of books you would like to hear from us in the future when we do a follow-up to our book Fit for Knits. So
that's a good idea. I like it.
Yeah. So we'll keep you updated, and I think we managed to talk quite a long while still on the updates for this episode as well. But so maybe we should round it off here, and we'll of course keep you updated. And don't forget to subscribe to our new YouTube channel, Stitching Tales Pod. And also, if you want to interact with us on Instagram, you can go over to Stitching Tales Pod, as it's one word, where you can actually see some photos and text for each episode as well. And you can also comment there if you have something to say. So you can both comment on YouTube and on our Instagram account. Is there anything else we need to tell our viewers and listeners?
No, just hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any suggestions or wishes for future topics for this podcast, definitely just send us a comment.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. So thank you so much. I am Johanna Lundström.
And I am Malena Hjerpe. Bye
Bye bye.